All right, hello everyone, hello guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for being here. And today we at our channel we've got a guest, we've got John from Minima. And I guess the best thing will be just to start with giving him a voice. Please tell us something about yourself, what are you doing in Minima, and yeah, everything you feel free to say.
Cool. Yes, well, hello everyone. I'm John. I'm the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer at Minima. And so I'm in the leadership team helping Hugo, the CEO, and Paddy, the CTO, the guy that wrote Minima, to bring this to market. And so yeah, I've been in the crypto world since the beginning. And so similarly to Paddy, he and I both dreamt of Bitcoin being this amazing liberation for people. And actually fixing the things that we thought were kind of wrong in the world, if you like.
Yeah.
And what we've realized is that that Bitcoin didn't fulfill what we wanted it to. That was really sad for us. And obviously, Paddy went in one direction and wrote Minima. I, funnily enough, was consulting Minima, advising Minima from right at the beginning. And then eventually it became obvious that we should just do this all together. And so yeah, that's what I do. And I'm also really grateful for your support of this project, the videos you've done, and the walkthroughs of how to run a node and everything. It's just been amazing. So I'm really, really grateful for your help as well.
Great. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We put a lot of love in the videos. We wanted to make this as good and clear as possible for the community. But let's start with the first question. You've told us that Bitcoin does not solve all the problems you see in the world right now. And could you please tell us a little bit about the situation with the decentralization of basically blockchains today? What is the main problem as you and Minima and you personally maybe see it? And what are the possible attack factors, if you can say it this way? So what are the security issues and the problems?
Yeah, big topic. So ultimately, the best outcome for society is for the empowerment of individual people to achieve their full potential, and empowering people to be in charge of their own experiences, their own information, their own communication, rather than being part of a large machine that controls what they can do or say. And that requires a network of really connected people, a network that's scalable and secure so that people can share and communicate and transact. And that scalability and security comes from having multitudes, and I mean multitudes of people involved, not 12,000 nodes and 5 primary mining farms that control the network. That's not either scalable nor secure nor decentralized. What we're talking about is actually having hundreds of thousands, if not millions, if not billions of node runners, with absolutely no third parties controlling anything. When there's more than one third party, when there's one or more, then a network is centralized. That could be a block validator, a separate producer, a mining farm. These are all centralized components. There are no blockchains in the world that are completely decentralized because of this. And so the word is being used incorrectly. And that means that if you have a network of, a couple of nodes, and let's say there's a blockchain without naming names that might be running primarily on Amazon, then Amazon are actually in charge of the blockchain. Let's say that you've got 3 or 4 nodes in a blockchain that's running in Google Cloud, then actually Google Cloud are in charge of the blockchain.
Because,
well, you get it. I mean, obviously that you can turn it off. If one of the testing factors is to say to someone, if you were forced to shut the network down, would you be able to? And if the answer is yes, then you're centralized.
Right.
Instead, everyone should play an equal part. More people playing an equal part, more people running a node means there's more scale and more security. And the only device that people have that is readily available is their mobile phones. So why doesn't anyone just be able to run a node on their mobile phones? And that's why the standard cloud computing with third-party server farms doesn't mean decentralization to us. But blockchain enables decentralization if everyone can run their own node. And then if you have 1 million nodes, let's say, for the sake of argument, to control that blockchain, you would need to have 501,000 of those nodes under your control. And so that's not going to happen when we have a public with everyone's running their own node and there's millions and millions and millions of people. We don't even think that you can be a secure blockchain until you have 1 million users I mean, a million node runners. That's the starting point where we think you can start to say that you're decentralized and secure and scalable. But until that point, nothing that we see, not any blockchain at all, has any of the decentralization, security, or scalability that we think is possible.
And the main problem why this happens is basically because as Bitcoin, as Ethereum, probably if we just take the bigger cryptocurrencies, the problem is the entry fee is really high for starting validating blocks, starting your own node. And then the second one is the mining pool, because if you set up your own node, then the chance of which you're getting the rewards is basically by the probability almost zero. So am I having you here correct? Is it right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's all about incentivization, right? So at the beginning, everyone was running their own Bitcoin node, and so we were mining our own coins. But the incentive to gain more rewards meant that you need a better computer, and then actually you may as well just join together with a few other computers, and then you create a farm of computers, and then you can rig the game, and you can actually control the hash, and if you have the most control, then you can. There's lots of things you can do, but there's other problems as well. Blockchains aren't complete, which means that things can be hard forked and new iterations can happen, new versions can happen, either because you want them to or because you don't want them to, as we've seen in recent times. We don't believe that that's the way that blockchain should run. We think that it should be complete from mainnet. So when mainnet is launched, that's 1.0. That's the version, and it's out in the world, and there's no new hard forks, there's no new versions. All there is the ability for people to scale on top, build on top of that, using our second tier protocol called Maxima, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah. So this is actually what you've accomplished with Minima, or basically what you're on the way to accomplishing, as we've read from the docs, as we've got from your side. Could you please, for us and for the audience who maybe missed some parts of this, tell us in a nutshell how Minima is going to work and how come that Minima and Maxima both use the same validators for scalability, and why are they so decentralized? Well, actually, that's the main question. How is the decentralization problem solved here?
Yeah, well, the key point is that Minima, when you're running your own node, there's no actual miners. You're not really mining per se. You're just running the node, and so there are two layers, two protocol layers. And so there's layer one, which is our base verification layer, and that's Minima. And layer two is Maxima, which is the transaction layer. So the reason for this is simple. Layer one doesn't scale because it is intentionally there for setting up a transactional relationship, completing a transaction, ending a settlement, or with conflict resolution. It's where the trust lives. But that, as all blockchains are now slowly but surely realizing, that's not where the scale comes from. That's slow and secure for a reason. The scale comes from layer two, which is the transactional layer, peer-to-peer layer, if you like, that enables any volume of interaction to happen with no limits whatsoever. There's no reduction in speed. There's no limits to how many people can build on top of that and use it to transact. That you can create tokens inside that. Tokenization can happen. You could generate 1 million tokens and trade those 1 million tokens and use those tokens, or build applications that millions of users can use every second in Maxima. And that's different than having just one blockchain layer. That is actually the bigger it becomes, the slower it becomes, which is exactly what Bitcoin and others have realized.
All right. And as we also got from the project infos, the biggest value Minima actually brings is the complete decentralization, which basically means security and protection from attack factors like 51% attack and so on and so forth, that basically users can't attack the blockchain even if they wish to, because it's all decentralized. But what is the token usage of Minima? Is it just a medium of exchange? And if yes, where will the value from the token come from? So how do you imagine this scenario?
Okay, so we separate the term coin from token. So tokens are things that anyone can generate in Maxima.
Correct, yeah.
And you can create your own token and call it what you wish and so forth and trade that. The coin, of course, that will be listed in the main exchanges. That coin is something which is essentially the value part of our blockchain that people can get involved with. But the build side in Maxima, the build of or the tokenization can be anything that people want. So if you imagine this as a decentralized web, and we're giving the architecture to the people and saying, we're now, this is now your network. It's everyone's network now. How would you like to build on top of this? And based in Java, people can build any form of applications, chat applications, social media applications, financial applications, anything they like. But the good thing is that no one can turn it off. So if you're running a node and you're running an app, a Maxima application, what we call a mini DApp, like a Minima decentralized application, and you're connected to your friends using their mini dApps that they're running on their nodes, then that's it. There's no third party. There's no interactive part of some kind of control or censorship. And this is censorship resistant. So it enables people to truly interact without feeling that they can at some stage be told that they can't.
So that means that basically that Minima will support like almost or any dApps and form of dApps that we've got here right now on other blockchains that already exist that the crypto users are basically used to. So for example, different DEXs for different cryptocurrencies and tokens. And I've read from some docs that Minima will also have bridges to bridge to different coins. Is it right? To other blockchains?
There'll be bridges to other blockchains for sure, and some of the things that are happening with Sol and other projects are really useful for that. But really, Minima will have its own DEX system and lots of other various different applications that enable people to trade as normal. I think it's less what we're not very keen on doing is integrating with centralized blockchains that can then be turned off or controlled. And so even though there can be bridges built and so forth, we think that ultimately there'll be one blockchain in the world. And we are certain, to our core, that one blockchain will have to be totally decentralized. And that's what we're building. Now, whether it turns out that we're the last people to build one or whatever, I think we'll definitely be the first. There's no ego attached to it because ultimately this is something that we're giving to the world free of charge, and then we're not involved anymore. When you create something that's decentralized, you don't then kind of put in place a head office and go, it's decentralized. Apart from us, which, by the way, 99% of blockchains seem to think that, or it's decentralized apart from these 21 people that actually sign everything off. It's decentralized apart from these 5 mining. That's not decentralized at all. It's not. It doesn't exist, and it has to be running. Everyone has to be involved equally. If you look at the people who own Bitcoin, the amount of people who own Ethereum, really, genuinely, really the amount of people that own is very, 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 very small. Some people can afford some sats. Some people can afford a fraction of something. But the involvement of blockchain at the moment is for people who can invest $100 or $1,000 occasionally into coins. And that's not what blockchain was for. This is the blockchain, the ability with blockchain to reorganize and give freedom to societies is fundamentally profound. It's a paradigm shift. And that's something which is very different from buying some BNB and hoping that it goes up, or buying some Cardano because you're buying the dip and with your $20 that might increase. That's good, and retail crypto buyers can do that. It's just that's not anything to do with blockchain.
Right. So you're basically creating something from your own that the whole community will own later on. We get the idea. That's really great. And then the second part of the question of the previous one, actually, how do you believe that the value of the token will form? But so basically, which factors will drive up its demand higher in terms of price? Because obviously there are a lot of people in crypto that are there not because of technology, but because of the money. But I understand that you're bringing this more into the technological aspect, that this decentralization will be something that the world will just need in, let's say, like maybe 5, 10, 20 years. We don't know the exact time frame. But is there like a project from its growth or from its volume you would like or want maybe to compare Minima to from in terms of impact, or is there no such project? Or yeah,
Well,
do
we
you want to
wanted
do it?
that. We wanted that to be Bitcoin. We're the most similar technologically to Bitcoin, other than the fact that we're decentralized and Bitcoin isn't. But so yeah, Bitcoin is the nearest comparison. But only because we wanted Bitcoin to be the answer, and it turned out that it wasn't. In terms of the value of the coin, so the tokens, you can create tokens in Maxima. So calling about Minima coin. That the value of that's going to come from two aspects. One is fundamental analysis, and the other is technical analysis. And fundamental analysis, if you think about it from an investment point of view, is how much money is behind it, what's the usage of it, what's the utility, and so forth. The technical analysis is self-explanatory,
Yeah.
but the utility is the key word here. How it can be used for people over and above a store of value in some way. So, if the utility of Bitcoin genuinely, really, even with Lightning, mainly what Bitcoin is used for is by people wanting to put in $100 and maybe get 130 out. That's the utility of Bitcoin. We believe the utility of Minima will be more like what the utility of the World Wide Web is, if the World Wide Web wasn't controlled by 5 companies, which it is. So that's the utility potential of Minima, when we have an entire operating system of applications that people have built, that developers have built, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of developers have built applications in Maxima, our layer 2 protocol, and enabling people to transact and communicate and exchange value. That will be the driving factor of the price of Minima as a currency, if you like. And but again, that's something that's not our priority in terms of the philosophy of this. It would be much easier to just use Ethereum to create an ERC20 token, put a picture of a cat on it or something, and say that it's going to the moon. Or, that would be an easier thing, and then call it a DeFi project. I mean, I'm being a bit rude, I guess, to some coin offerings that are happening, but we're not in that market. But we don't mind that market. If people have earned a huge amount of money from Dogecoin, that's fantastic. If you backed XRP and it's gone up by $1 or $2, but you've got 10,000 of them, then that's awesome. It's just that's not what the potential of blockchain is from our perspective. And the value of Minima will be high if the utility is high, and if people see the potential of it. And frankly, if we have 1 million users at mainnet, which is our target, then that's something. And that's 1 million nodes. At the moment, Bitcoin and Ethereum have 12,000 nodes, and Horizon has 40 something thousand nodes. We'll be bigger than all of them by Christmas. And that's what I think blockchain needs to be designed to be. It needs to have hundreds of thousands of millions of nodes, rather than a couple of thousand running primarily in Amazon Web Services. That's not what we were trying to build 20 years ago.
Great, thank you. So basically, in a nutshell, what Minima is, it will be, as I understood it right now, and as we've read it before, we're going to have a completely decentralized blockchain. Like every user will be able to validate transactions on their phone, also on the PC, if you'd like, and the value will come from true decentralization. So Minima is going to act like a base layer. Are we allowed to call it Web3? Because a lot of basically decentralized applications will be built on there. Am I right here?
You can call it that. And I'll tell you something else as well. If you really want to do NFTs properly, you can only do NFTs properly with a completely decentralized blockchain. So actually none of the NFT offerings, not one single NFT offering at the moment, is actually the potential of NFTs. Sorry, Ethereum. But so you not only could you call this Web3, but that's a bit of a kind of maybe a buzzword. What it is a decentralized web. It's a decentralized network. There's even companies saying that they're building Web 4, of course. So I think if and maybe even someone who says they're Web 5, we don't really concentrate on the wordings like that. But ultimately, the key point here is that decentralized equals freedom, and decentralization equals censorship resistance. Decentralization equals independence. Decentralization equals liberation. And that enables people to fulfill their own potential. And if you have a society of people fulfilling their own potential, then you have a very different world that we live in. And whether that's seen as something that's valuable to tens of millions of people, we'll wait and see. It's sure as hell valuable to every single person I've met in the blockchain space in the last 20 years, largely because that's why we built what we built. That's why Bitcoin became Bitcoin. You know, in the B Money paper of 1999, I mean, I was in the crypto groups in 93, 94, 95, cryptography groups. But 10 years earlier, 12 years earlier, I was in the Well. And the Well was around 10 years before the World Wide Web. And that was in the internet. And even then we were discussing how we could re-architect society's constructs of capitalism in a way that would be more free and fair and equitable, more equality. And so, yeah, that's what we're chasing down, and we won't stop.
Awesome. And you've told us you want about 1 million validators, 1 million users on your blockchain by the new year, by Christmas, as we may say it. So,
no, not a million by Christmas. That would be amazing.
That will be amazing indeed.
More like, I think our mainnet is going to be somewhere in Q2 next year, the second quarter of next year. And we would like to have 1 million nodes when we go to mainnet. And the reason we'd like 1 million nodes is because that's then what we think could be classed as secure. And then we will face a mirror to the entire blockchain space and say, if we all agree that 1 million nodes that's where you start kind of talking about security and scalability and decentralization. We've solved the blockchain trilemma for sure. And so now let's look at the other blockchains and say, well, how can they maybe use Minima to realize their potential? Maybe, in fact, you'll find that a lot of DeFi altcoins are created as projects inside Maxima. That would make sense.
Yeah, definitely. And for the acquisition of the new users, it doesn't matter if it will be like for Christmas or to the launch in Q2 of 2022, you've got this really awesome incentive cash program on Minima running right now. So we would have a little some questions regarding this one. Maybe again for the users who don't know exactly how this works right now, you may sum up the incentive cash program. But before we start, I just want to remind you that there will be notes right now involved to this, setting up your own notes, and we've got a guide for you on our YouTube channel that you can watch in order to set up the note. So yeah, basically all the info will be there, and it's
yes.
Tell us, please.
Brilliant. Yeah, your video is excellent. So the Minima Incentive Cash Program rewards users for downloading the Minima app and then running and maintaining a complete node. And so that's basically an incentive for people towards mainnet, between now and mainnet, to get involved because we're in testnet. And so things are still being fixed. We're experimenting with different features. Things sometimes break down. So one day things work, one day things don't work. It's extraordinarily difficult to create a completely decentralized blockchain. And so we're rewarding people for sticking with us with 1 Minima coin per day. And the program is only available via a waiting list. And you've thankfully in your videos shown how those waiting lists work. Equally, people can go to incentive.minima.global. And then they can see the numbers that they can text. And essentially we're doing this because ahead of mainnet, in our testnet, people's assistance is super precious to us. It's extremely important. So we can collaboratively assist in building the network. We can test how different devices operate. We can find and fix the bugs in the Minima testnet. We can perfect the application, the protocol, and we can help grow the community participation. So that's what we can do together. And obviously we'll give away coins in the meantime, because why would we not want to make it rewarding for people? You know, a lot of people in the Discord group, which by the way is discord.gg/Minima, a lot of people in the Discord group are really helpful with their feedback. They're saying, you know, this seems to, when I press this doesn't work and whatever. We go, oh, okay, cool, we'll fix that. You know, we've got a whole work stream on how to make this an iOS, iPhone capable app as well. So that's happening and will be hopefully in place, you know, before mainnet, so next year, early next year. And so incentive.minima.global is a scheme of reward, which it comes with a price, because you have to maintain a node.
Yeah.
So So either on a PC or an Android phone at the moment, you run a node, you maintain a node, and then even if the good news is, just a disclaimer, if something breaks, you're still going to get the coins because we can register who registered at what time and so forth. So there's no risk for anyone watching who says, "Oh, well, I was running a node and then 3 days ago something stopped working," or whatever. It doesn't affect your reward. That's just basically really useful feedback.
Yes.
But I can't describe how extremely complicated it is to build an entirely decentralized network of thousands at the moment. At the time of recording, thousands and thousands and thousands of people running nodes. And that will be tens and tens of thousands by Christmas and hundreds of thousands into early next year. And then obviously upward towards our target of 1 million users. And it's complicated, but when it's done and when 1.0 is done, so there may be 1 or 2 hard forks between now and 1.0, which is inside our testnet. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
When that's done, then it's complete and it can go to billions and billions of people.
Yeah, I really can't imagine how hard it is to make a blockchain like this because I'm not a tech guy. I'm not building, but I trust you, I imagine. And is there actually a limited amount of users which will be able to participate in the testnet in setting up the node? Because some users had problems, they couldn't log in right away, so they didn't receive emails. So is it like partially you let the people into the validating process or is there another reason for this?
There's 2 things. The waiting list, when people join the waiting list, and if they can't text a number, there's a WhatsApp number now on the incentive.minima.global site. So there's a WhatsApp number that works anywhere in the world, which we've now managed to get the approval for Facebook to enable us to use the WhatsApp number because some networks were restricting it. So at least you can use it via Wi-Fi or whatever. So with the waiting list, we drip feed people into the network to make sure that we don't over load the network. And so we're testing a certain amount, maybe 200, 500,000 a day and so forth just to drop people in. Secondly, we have realized that that some emails went to spam. So we've now reconfigured our email system so that it gets whitelisted rather than blacklisted by email servers. Some people, when they were texting from countries where there was a ban, the network was banning the numbers. All of this is just one part of the hundreds of thousands of complications. And so, but the good thing is that if people really do want to get involved and they're inside the discord.gg/Minima community or the Telegram community, then we will sort them out. You've probably experienced it. We've got extremely helpful community moderators and ambassadors and technical support people, and we're growing that team every week. But people like you are helping as well. You've done all of this guidance for which we can't thank you enough for. So with people like you and our own teams, I hope that people who are having trouble can for sure find support.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely leave all the links to Discord, to the Telegram group in the description, just in terms if people need help or want to get some more info to chat with anybody who's more experienced in the project. But the main point here is don't worry, the incentive program is continuing. It will continue, as I understand. And basically, if you don't get all the info once you register right now, just wait for a little bit of time and then you'll be in, right?
Yes, indeed. We assure you that everyone who registers now, between now and mainnet in the waiting list, you will be on the incentive cash program.
Awesome.
Just wait. And the maximum time that people are waiting at the moment is a few weeks, but I can't promise what the speed is because there's a lot of technical things that are going on, but no one's going to be left out. And ultimately, what I can also guarantee you is that by the time this hits mainnet, every single human being in the world that wants to run a node and be part of the future of networked decentralization will be able to, for sure.
Awesome. And then the next question, as we've seen from the tokenomics, the tokens are set for distribution or basically for vesting over a 3-year period, linear period. Does this affect all the tokens? So are they going to be vested all basically in equal categories as for the investors? So for the people who just want to help the community run the node, or will the node tokens be unlocked right away? So is there any info on this?
So in the tokenomics paper, and I'll the links will be here for that as well, and I'll pass them to you so you can publish the tokenomics. We have a total supply of Minima tokens that's fixed and pre-allocated, and as there's no dedicated miners, there's no method of distributing the coins after mainnet launch. So one of the unique features of our kind of cooperative proof of work chain is that we have a distribution strategy around how that can be, how people can actually take part of being part of the network, but mainly that the public can benefit the most from the token distribution. So we have 51% of the Minima token supply reserved for public circulation. There's some for development grants, there's some for the kind of the community incentives, then there's public sale amounts. But basically this is, you know, how we can ensure that the tokenomics is biased towards the community is in this way. And then the vesting period, if you like, the taper, which you'll see in the tokenomics graph, which is on the final page of the tokenomics, basically just goes towards the first anniversary, second anniversary, and the third anniversary of what we call the TGE, which is the token generation event. And that release schedule is ensuring the kind of the gradual liquidity in line with our trajectory, our growth, so that it's not dumped on the market. All the coins exist, and then there's all manner of different behavior that's mainly is driven by fear and greed, or FUD or whatever. Yeah. What we would prefer is that there is a linear as possible distribution, so that it ensures the longevity of this project and enables it to come to market in a way that is as distributed as possible. Of course, at the third year anniversary, the coins that existed are out in the wild, and then I think that's going to be really, really cool then too, is to see what happens from year 3 to 5 to 10, and I suspect that we can't even imagine what people will do with this network then, because as far as we're concerned, we won't exist. You know, the company at the moment exists purely because we're trying to get the technical stuff together, but we have no ambition to keep the company going once the network is launched. But this isn't essential. We're at the moment, we're a centralized company. We're a limited company who have control over the coin generation, have control over the strategy, control over the incentives, and so ironically, we have to undo that. We have to get rid of ourselves for this to be decentralized.
Basically, yes.
It's weird.
Yeah. It's a really great thing, actually, that 51% goes out to the community. So it's in the hands of the people, actually, not from the investors. And considering the investors, did the project already have any token sales already done? Or if yet, are there any to come? And if it's not a secret, what were the prices at which they've gotten into?
So some of that I can say, some of it I can't, just to be respectful to the investors involved. So we've had 2 private funding rounds, one of which is public, that you can find online, even on our blog, which is a couple of $1 million, which was at the end of last year. We're about to announce in the next 10 days the next round that we closed very recently, which was about 3 times more than that. And we need that so that we can hire the most brilliant people to get involved with building this extremely complicated project. So yeah, the coin value at the first round and the second round obviously has grown, but the first visible sign of the coin price will be if we decide to run a public sale at some point early next year, and we don't know exactly when. It could even be kind of the end of Q1 into Q2 that then harmonizes with mainnet launch. But I'm personally keen on enabling everyone to have the ability to own Minima, even if they can't run a node or they don't want to run a node. If they want to invest, I would like that. In terms of kind of a projected price, we have no idea what the price kind of limits would be, but you know, there's a range, isn't there? We're not an altcoin, so this isn't something that is kind of a trivial thing that happens and launches and raises and pumps and dumps. this is a layer 1 and also layer 2 blockchain. So if you look at the layer 1s, then you have kind of 5 or 6 really well-known ones. And so it wouldn't be a surprise if our price would live amongst those. And so we're not talking of cents here.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ballgame. And so what we're hoping is that the value of that is high enough to enable people who have gone through the trouble of being in the testnet and earning coins to then go, now I get my payback. I've 2 things. One, I have a decentralized network that can't be stopped, that I can use in any way I want and build on it whatever way I want, or use however way I want. And the second outcome is that you have a bag of coins that are worth a lot of money that you can then use, if you so wish, to do what you want with. And that would be a great outcome for us to then shut the doors on Minima and go, there's your network, there's your coins, they're worth a load of money, go and play. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's really awesome that you've told that you did already have some rounds with basically, as you said, millions of dollars into the project. It's really good that not just the community, but also like the big guys do believe in the project. That's, I guess, important thing for a lot of people to hear. And we've heard something about the public sale. So yeah, I guess you will publish these things on your media, as I understand this, when the time is. So stay tuned for this one.
Yeah, it'll be very soon. So it will be during October. We'll make an announcement of the most recent, and that's quite a critical announcement because the people who have invested at the second round are very, very big players, and so it fills us with great faith and comfort to know that some of the most forward-thinking venture capital firms and private equity firms, along with, by the way, I must say, over 120 friends and family originally, have actually put their money into this, and that's a lovely, honourable thing to do. And we're all invested in every person in the business is in some way invested into the project, and we all absolutely believe in this as a fundamental thing to do.
Awesome, great. If we are talking about partnerships now, are there any strong partnerships Minima has established as a project right now, maybe with other crypto or just in terms of partnerships? Is there something important to tell about here?
So again, there will be announcements about partnerships at some stage soon, but the key point is and I'm going to answer this question in a way that gives you the answer but doesn't actually reveal anything that's under confidentiality. If you think about it, because this is a blockchain that runs on mobile phones, one of the most obvious partnerships we would do would be with mobile networks, right?
Right.
So unsurprisingly, that's what we've been doing, and we will over time release information of the networks that we're partnering with, and it's again very telling that it's quite interesting how the networks with the most futuristic vision are seeing this as a way of at worst case replacing their server infrastructure costs because the people are the servers, but at best case can run loyalty schemes and rewards mechanisms through the tokenization on Maxima. Then you have retailers. So we're in conversation with several of the world's largest retailers about how a truly decentralized network could enable their customers to experience their brands in a much more real-time way without using clunky web architecture that has to go through various different Facebook algorithms and Google algorithms to work. And so we've got retailers, mobile networks, then there's entertainment companies. How can a decentralized network with, let's say, 1 million artists using a music platform all run their own node, and that node and then apps on top of it could essentially be their royalty mechanisms to make sure they get paid when music is played. And then you move into the finance sector. So anyway, I could keep going, but unsurprisingly, the partnership approach is very strong and something that is an extremely high priority for us, because we can do so much with the incentive programs and getting people to run the nodes, but this will scale exponentially with 6 or 10 partnerships of networks of 40 to 200 million people.
That's like really something awesome to hear, because no, actually, this is really good when the project does work in the back end, and then surprisingly, it turns out that, yeah, here, look, we didn't tell you anything, but we do have the partnerships here and there. We partner with these guys. That's awesome. So basically, what you want to say is that in maybe 1 to 5 years, that's kind of a big range of time, these things may happen, like really can be implemented in the real world, the Minima and some, yeah, awesome.
Absolutely, yeah. But the partnerships that we'll announce before mainnet launch even, the partnerships are crazy scale, and really that's the way to do this. We want to get to billions of users, right? So we're going to launch with 1 million users at mainnet, so that we can say that we are now actually truly secure and scaled and decentralized. But there's no way that Minima is going to stop with 1 million users, especially not with a partnerships approach. No way.
That's really great. Well, John, actually, you've told us a lot of info. You made me really happy, because it's a lot of interesting things we can share with the audience. I think the audience, the people watching us, as on the English channel, as on the Russian YouTube channel, they will appreciate it as well as I'm appreciating you for taking your time. So thank you so much for coming over. Is there anything you would like to add from yourself, for the people to hear?
Yeah, 2 things. One is practical, and one is kind of theoretical, I guess. So I'll do that in this order. The practical one is the time to get involved in a crypto firm of any kind, or a crypto coin, a crypto offering, a cryptocurrency, crypto distributed ledger technology, whatever you want to call it. The time to get involved is early. Early, and Minima is early. We're 9 months away, maybe, from mainnet or less, but that's so early. And so the people who are involved early win most. And so that's like the practical reality of it all. Go to incentive.minima.global, join the waiting list early. It will pay you off to do so. That's that point. Secondly is more theoretical, esoteric. The question is whether or not you watching this believe that humans have an opportunity to be more free, to be less chained by what we're told we can and cannot do, and to be able to express yourself in the way you want to express yourself, and build things in the way you want to build, or partner with people you want to partner with across borders, and using the devices that you have. And if you believe that that's possible, then this is the answer to that belief, or that hope. And I know I'm speaking from my heart, and Paddy, the creator of Minima's heart, in saying that this is a life's work. From my perspective, 30 years in the discussion of how algorithmic technology can fix society. I'm extremely excited that we're now there. And if anyone else resonates with that, then this is actually your blockchain. It's run by the people for the people. So get involved.
Yeah.
C.1.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a really important thing actually for people to think about. From the whole Cryptus team, we just want to wish you all the best luck. That everything that you plan to accomplish, that you will manage to accomplish even better than you wished it for. Because yeah, we're truly believing in the blockchain. So we really hope that you give us the best results, give yourself the best results, and the community.
Thank you. Keep up the good work. You guys are doing such a great job, and you're the most proactive community that I've come across. Really, really strong, visionary people, and you personally as well are a great presenter, and so I'm honored to speak to you. This won't be our last conversation. Yeah. And whenever you want to speak, you want to speak together, then we will. My brain is yours, so yeah. You can use me for information.
Yeah, thank you. So the same thing accounts also for you. But again, thank you a lot for taking your time. I think Yeah, we will look forward for the next conversation. And that's it for today. So thank you for watching so much. Bye bye.
Good man. Thanks, Nikita. Cheers, mate.